afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to participate in my first Wright State University Convocation and Awards ceremony and present to you the state of the university. I'd like to acknowledge that this is the first time we are showcasing together both faculty and staff excellence award winners, and in doing so, sharing the extraordinary talent evident throughout this university. Before I begin, I'd like to thank all of you for the warm welcome that you have given me and my family over the past few months, and we definitely feel a part of the Wright State family. There is no doubt that I came to Wright State during a time of incredible challenge and immense opportunity. When I accepted the honor to serve as your president, I knew that there would be difficult times ahead. But I am convinced that by working together, we can overcome every obstacle. This will not be easy, however. And it is not an exaggeration to say that what happens over the next 2 years will determine the course of this university for decades. A daunting challenge, to be sure, but also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shape this institution, the state of Ohio, and beyond. To be clear to all, the vast potential of this university far outweighs the temporary setbacks that we are experiencing. Now, I have been asked numerous times how Wright State got to where it is today, to this position we find ourselves in. Even though you might think that my views might be considered as coming from an armchair quarterback. In turn, I have asked many people with diverse perspectives who experienced this situation firsthand for their insight. Common words and phrases emerged: complacency, hubris, lack of discipline, lack of accountability, a decline in a learning orientation, or a confusion of great with big. In discussions with one of our astute faculty members, I was directed to a book by Jim Collins, How the Mighty Fall, and Why Some Companies Never Give In. Being a Jim Collins fan and a lifelong learner, well, I picked up the book and began to read. The 5 stages of decline listed in this text are eerily reminiscent of what appears to have occurred at Wright State in the recent past. So first, let me say that there is no need to be uncomfortable speaking about what occurred. Recognizing, understanding, and discussing it will only help us as we set our bold course for the next 50 years. There is also no need to be embarrassed, as Collins's research emphasizes that great institutions can stumble, and they can stumble badly, and yet recover and come back stronger than ever. Collins writes, the signature of the truly great versus the merely successful is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to come back from setbacks, even cataclysmic catastrophes, stronger than before. This is the ability, some say, to bounce forward from adversity or crisis or challenge. And it is this resilience that is increasingly called for from organizations and their leaders due to the complexity and rapid pace of change around us. The upshot of this book is what we should do as we find ourselves falling. It may not be surprising to you, but it could be comforting to all that much of the answer lies within our control in adhering to highly disciplined management practices. In similar vein, an expert in resilience, Diane Cotu, highlights 3 essential characteristics of those who are resilient: a staunch acceptance of reality, a clear sense of purpose and meaning, and an uncanny ability to improvise. Such is the state of the university. Wright State finds itself on a precipice, ready to soar. Wright State finds itself on a precipice, ready to soar. And we can envision several scenarios for the future that are well within our grasp. We can be Icarus. That is right, I said Icarus. So many of you recall from Greek mythology that Icarus and his father attempted to escape Crete using wings of wax and feathers. For those who are not experts in mythology, a quick look at Wikipedia can reveal some astounding information. Icarus's father first warned him of complacency, flying too low so that the dampness actually clogs the wings. And then Icarus's father warns him of hubris, flying too high so that the sun's heat would melt the wings. Now you may all recall what happened when Icarus ignored his master craftsman father's warnings. And you may also recall the words complacency and hubris that some applied to Wright State. So we can be Icarus, or we can be the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers were not the first to build and fly experimental aircraft, and their first US patent was not for an aircraft per se, but rather their significant contribution was the invention of 3-axis aircraft controls that remains standard for fixed-wing aircraft today. So I'm going to ask you to please forgive this systems and control engineer for focusing on the fact that the Wright brothers determined how to take what is an inherently unstable vehicle, like a flying machine, and control it. Their approach was unique, and it actually did not follow the great means big strategy that other experimenters of the time pursued by developing more and more powerful engines. With no formal college education, the brothers worked with the Smithsonian Institution and other experimenters to tap into a wealth of information and to learn all that they could about design and flying. They were most certainly learner-oriented. Their extensive testing actually challenged the accepted data of that time period and found it to be false. They built their own wind tunnel to test wind and propeller design to create data that could be relied upon. And they innovated by studying birds in flight. And some may say that that meant that they were looking outside their industry for solutions. No one can question the accountability and the discipline of the Wright brothers. So I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. Shall we continue as we have and possibly be Icarus? Or shall we follow the example that our namesakes, the Wright brothers, have set? I pretty much expect that the answer to that question is to follow the example of the Wright brothers and to employ Jim Collins' intervention of adhering to highly disciplined management practices. And as you know, the focus of my first year is threefold: financial sustainability, administrative transparency, and campus conversations. I have begun assembling a strong leadership team and making necessary changes in structure to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. And you may recognize this as a highly disciplined and broadly accountable approach. I am invested in learning about this institution and to understanding the people and the culture of this region. Much of my time is spent meeting and visiting face-to-face with groups and individuals, both inside the organization and also external to the university. And every day I learn how integral Wright State is to Raider country, to the state of Ohio, and beyond. Every day I learn more about you, the extraordinary people of Wright State. And every day convinces me of the grand potential that this university has to be the institution that Ohio needs it to be. So this week we welcome Walt Branson as the new Chief Business Officer, who will help bring a customer focus and improve services shared across campus. His unquestioned acumen and integrity are a great addition to Wright State. Welcome, Walt. He moved from one place to the other. Thank you, Walt. Great progress has already been seen, and Walt and I are going to be working together with the campus community to place this institution in as strong a financial position possible by the end of this fiscal year. The progress that's been made is due in large part to difficult decisions that have been made and implemented over the past 6 months across the university. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who so generously serve and continue to invest for the greater good. As you know, we ended fiscal year 17 with $10 million more added to our reserves than initially expected. And we have a fiscal year 18 budget that we must strictly adhere to in order to return at least another $6 million to our reserves. This will require continued fortitude without overspending. That is discipline and accountability. And I continue to work with communications professionals to help deploy a communications strategy that helps inform and engage stakeholders and increase meaningful dialogue as we enter this necessary period of change. Different communication modes create myriad ways to help keep up to date with the happenings, the things that happen quite rapidly around here, and also to encourage input and counsel. For example, soon you will be receiving an invitation to our first Let's Talk forum on October 3rd at 11:30 a.m. right here in the Apollo Room. This initial offering will explore the Wright State Research Institute and the Wright State Applied Research Corporation through a panel of experts who will engage in dialogue with interested attendees. The Let's Talk series is a presidential initiative for all members of the Wright State community aimed at discussing a singular issue or theme in an open forum format. The goal of the series is to create a safe space for open, informed discussion around a campus issue while providing Wright State's campus community with accurate information and perspective. More detailed information is available on the President's Office website, where you can also suggest topics for future discussion. I am committed to developing strong relationships with our employees who form the very heart of this institution. Many of you know that I have invested a great deal of time in campus conversation, beginning during the search process and continuing today. I will be much more focused internally my first year than you would typically expect from a president, and that's appropriate, and I really look forward to that time together. In my first week here, I met with Faculty Senate, Student Council, alumni, retiree, and student leaders to discuss how faculty, staff, students, and administrators might work more closely together in the coming months and years. We have continued conversations on specific as well as general ideas, and I purposefully delayed some decisions until the academic year began, so as to consult more broadly with faculty, staff, students, and partners. Just last week, for example, I tapped into faculty and staff expertise in shaping and leading a comprehensive strategic planning process, which will begin this semester and continue well into next year. Planning is underway to develop a diverse steering committee that will guide us through this process for a sustained period of time and give voice to what resonates deep within. The creation and implementation of a shared strategic plan involving thousands of stakeholders will provide a vision and focus moving forward that directly links resources to our values and our strategic priorities. It will help determine that clear sense of purpose and meaning that I mentioned earlier, which is a critical foundation for resilience. And many of you may know that I spent a great deal of time in July and August meeting with each of the 33 academic department chairs and many faculty and academic staff as well, learning about opportunities and strengths and seeing firsthand some of the amazing contributions in teaching, research and scholarly activity, community engagement, and economic development. I continue to meet with colleges, divisions, and units across campus to understand more fully the true influence and commitment that you have on student success. I also spent a day at the Lake campus in August and had opportunity there to meet with faculty and staff in groups and individually. I have been asked very often since I arrived as to what was the most surprising thing about Wright State. And my answer has been the intensity with which I have been greeted. We are so happy that you are finally here. We were waiting for you. But what has just been astounding to me is it's followed very quickly by, and we are eager to help. From the moment I first set foot on this campus, you have been open and honest with me. I appreciate your candor, your ideas, your eagerness, and your willingness to create a new path forward. You can expect the same from me. You have demonstrated to me that you want what is best for the future of Wright State University and for our students. And so now, we will forge a new path together as we begin creating that bold strategic plan that will guide Wright State into its next 50 years. Beginning with the search process and in many venues since, I asked you to share with me your vision for Wright State. You might remember me asking you to consider this question. Imagine that it is 10 years from now and Wright State University has met its most important goals. What does the university look like, and how is that different from today? More information is coming all the time, but taking a look at the answers thus far, several themes emerged very quickly around the university's financial health, academic programs, campus life, and morale. 10 years from now, you hope that Wright State will be financially healthy. You envision a university with sound business practices, accountability measures, and a transparent budgeting process. In a decade, you hope our academic programs are even more robust. You see our colleges, departments, and programs collaborating across campus, across disciplines, across organizations, and beyond traditional boundaries. You envision that in 10 years, our Lake campus has grown into an even larger powerhouse. Your vision for Wright State includes enhancing and expanding campus life, making Wright State the university of choice for students. You want to enrich residential experiences, provide better recreational and dining facilities, and create more opportunities for fun on campus. Over the next 10 years, you also hope our students, faculty, staff, and alumni feel an reinvigorated sense of pride in the university. You recognize that our people are our biggest asset, and you want to make Wright State a happier place to live, to learn, and to be. I share your vision for Wright State, and together we will work to make that vision a reality. The challenges of the last few years have been a stark wake-up call that business as usual is not an option. And frankly, I think that puts us in a very good spot as a university, because we may be in that spot sooner than others. And yet, it's a realization that's important as we move forward. We can't go back to the way we have always done things. We can't be Icarus. There needs to be a change that enables the best characteristics of this institution to flourish. Now, I know that change can bring anxiety, and I also know that change is not always welcomed with open arms. But I would encourage you to think of this requisite change as an investment in our future that will make us stronger. I encourage you to take on what is called an opportunity mindset and not a scarcity mindset. That will bring us to the place where we can invest in our priorities to achieve the vision that we set together. And that will propel us to bounce forward to an even greater future. So there are many challenges, of course, that are facing higher education today. Among them are keeping tuition affordable while maintaining and improving quality, ensuring that we meet the needs of a changing student body, finding resources to grow while determining what we will no longer do, and increasing public trust and support for our institution. If Wright State is to succeed and thrive in the 21st century, we must be able to rise above those challenges. And I have no doubt that if we all work together, we can overcome any challenges that come our way. As I said before, Wright State forms the very fabric of our region. As goes Wright State, so goes the region. We need to be strong. We need to be strong for our students, for our region, and for each other. So I look forward to collaborating with all of you on our strategic plan, one that will utilize your talents and extraordinary capabilities to make the dreams of our Wright State family come true. And as we begin our strategic planning process this fall, I hope that you will never lose sight of one thing. Excellence abounds at Wright State. You are all a part of that excellence. And we see that here today, clearly, we have excellence that we are going to be honoring with our awards ceremony. And we have that opportunity to celebrate that excellence that permeates throughout the university. So please, keep sharing your hopes and your dreams for our university. Your interest, input, and engagement are vital to our success. So I do look forward to working with you as Wright State University soars into its next 50 years. And I do want to thank all of you for your many, many contributions. Thank you.